Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Rants About Tech Live for January 25th. It is Saturday. It's the weekend review. This is usually the live stream where I take all of the stories that I talked about throughout the week and just kind of like wrap up for everyone who couldn't join us through the week, because we do it pretty early in the morning, 10 a.m., 10:30 a.m., and we go till about 12, maybe 12:30 or something like that. Yeah, so if you couldn't join for those sessions, that's why I do the weekend review, basically. I'd like to thank everyone who's joining me right now. We got Mr. Larry Goodman in the chat. I appreciate you being here. Let's get the air horns going for everybody in the chat right now. We got Nazoni. I appreciate you being here. Mr. Media, thank you for being here. And Lau, I appreciate you for being here. Like I said, we're just going over the weekend review. We missed Friday, so Friday we won't have to talk about. So. That's an ongoing thing right there. But what I'm trying to do is just get it going every day. I even consider doing 3 days a week. So that's something I'm going to put in the members polls there. Whether 3 days a week is probably good enough. You know what I mean? For when we don't have a lot of eInk news. But if everyone enjoys getting the regular tech news throughout the week mixed in with the eInk news when it's kind of slow, that would be cool too. So we're just tossing around some ideas about how we can do this. All right. Anybody know what's going on, or do we still care about the TikTok ban? So I know that they have. That's something I want to talk about. Right, matter of fact, we don't even have to do that because we talked about that Monday. So we can actually jump right into the weekly wrap up here, straight into Monday. So off the top on Monday, essentially what we had is the TikTok ban. And let's bring up some stuff here. Oh snap! I did. Whoa, quick wardrobe change. Be right back. Oh, that wasn't good. That wasn't. Back like we never left. Whoa. Is the camera, is it even trying to focus on me? Did it? Oh, there we go. It's got me now. It took a while. Sony was like, what, Indiana? We don't even compute Indiana. That don't even make sense right now. Okay, so here we go. Indiana. We'll go over the story, but your boy wearing Indiana. I was really supposed to be wearing a Rants About Tech shirt tonight. I forgot all about that. But, man, I almost forgot, Ed. Thank you. I messed up my hair trying to take that shirt off real quick. Let's make sure the curls are in place. Are the curls in place? They are. Okay, we're good to go. All right. So, whoa. So, Indiana. All right. So, there we go, Ed. My bad. Evening, Nazoni. Appreciate you guys joining us. Let's get the air horns going for the members that just popped in. Thank you guys for joining. I just went and did a wardrobe change real quick because I had on a Virginia Beach shirt. Looking sharp. I had on a Virginia Beach shirt. I totally forgot all about the Indiana shirt. My bad, Ed. My bad. And I was struggling about what to wear tonight, so I could have saved myself a lot of drama and trouble just threw the Indiana shirt on. So there we go. For those who don't know, the thing was that I had to wear Indiana shirt if if I lost the little wager me and Ed had on whether or not the Manta, the Supernote A5X2 was going to come out before the end of last year. Technicalities, because to be honest with you, if we were talking about an award show, it wouldn't have counted. It came in at the 11th hour. But it did come in at the 11th hour, and for that reason, I had to wear the Indiana shirt. If he had lost, he would have worn the Rants About Tech shirt on his live. So that was the thing. So here I am wearing an Indiana t-shirt because I lost. I put everything on the fact that it wasn't going to come out, the A5X2 Manta, before the end of the year. But it did. It made it. By the skin of its teeth, it made it. But it made it. Good. I'm happy. It's right here with my show notes. I'm happy. So, I can't front, I'll happily wear the Indiana shirt and be wrong. I got a good device out of it. And we got a good friend out of it. So, and a t-shirt. So there we go. Thank you, Nizoni. Looking sharp. I appreciate it. BM. Oh, BM's laughing at me. It's okay. It's okay, BM. It's all right. I'll wear an Indiana shirt for a day. Actually, I may wear it for 2 days when the Indiana comes on TV, just to make someone I know mad. All right, everyone. Yeah, so back to the weekend review. That's a little insider information there from the channel. Cross-channel collaboration there. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate it. It looks great. It's a great shirt. Crimson is a really good color. I almost wanted to say Roll Tide, but this is the different crimson altogether. Are they even crimson? I don't even know. We'll move on. Back to what we're talking about. So the first thing we had up Monday, right, was the TikTok ban. Okay, do I still have that up? We do. All right, so the first thing we had up Monday was the TikTok ban. Let's see if we can pull that up. And for those who don't know, let's do a TikTok ban recap real quick. Let's just recap the TikTok ban. So what it is that if you have TikTok on your phone, and TikTok phones, that what they're calling them, phones that have TikTok already on them for people who don't have TikTok and want it, they're listed for like $5,000 on eBay. I mean, no one's buying them for $5,000, but people are listing them for $5,000. I know someone's buying them for exorbitant amounts. Maybe not $5,000, but somebody's buying it for an exorbitant amount. So you can't download the TikTok app anymore from the app stores. So that's a dub. You can still use the app if you have it. You won't be able to update it. You won't get security updates. You won't get patches. You won't get no new features. If a bug were to happen to the app, you'd be screwed because there would be nothing you could do to fix it because you'd be cut off from the updates. So you can still use it. Now, Oracle seems to be the only company still dealing with TikTok. I got information here that we're going to talk about Monday. Monday, we got more information on this that I'm going to talk about because I got a little bit more research to do before I open my mouth about it. But Oracle seems to be the only company dealing with TikTok right now inside the U.S. I mean, they have incentive, which we'll talk about Monday. But the thing is, there was an extension put in place by the Trump presidency or the Trump what do they call that? The administration. There we go. The Trump administration, the incoming administration, basically said, hey, don't act on this. Give us some time. Give us 75 days before you act on it. Now, that doesn't mean it's going away. The ban doesn't go away. The ban is still in place, which is why Apple and Google is not touching the app with a 10-foot pole. They wouldn't touch it with your 10-foot pole. So they're not going anywhere near this because they understand what it means, right? So this is basically the Trump administration saying, hey, don't act on anyone breaking the law that is still in place right now, which is dealing with TikTok in any kind of way, especially, their app, put it that way. Oracle hosts the apps. They have the app servers. They're hosting all of the services for TikTok. And all the data is being kept on Oracle servers in Austin, Texas. So they're the company dealing with them right now, and they're taking a risk right now because if after the 75 days is up, someone decides to take this to court and says, hey, they didn't uphold the law and that 75 days is up. We just pushed it down the road a little bit and said we're not going to act on it for 75 days, even though anyone working with TikTok in that way is breaking the law. They'd be up for penalty after the 75 days is up. So after the 75 days, if that law is still enforced and someone wants to file a suit against the Oracle for doing it, they would win in court because that's the risk Oracle is taking with still working with TikTok. Again, that's $5,000 per day per user if Apple or Google wants to decide to still distribute the app. They're not taking that risk. I don't know what kind of financial risk Oracle will be taking. I mean, they're not downloading or they're not disseminating the app in any kind of way, so it's not a per person per day kind of thing with them. But there would be some kind of penalty. I just don't know what it is, which is what I'm going to do some research on, and we'll talk more about this Monday. But that is the ban in effect, and it did go down, but it wasn't because they were forced to go down. TikTok went down because they decided to go down. I have a theory on that too, which we'll talk about Monday. We'll talk about that too. But anyway, Google Messages getting new features. So we talked about Google Messaging getting new features. And I think that was more about reoccurring. That was about reoccurring reminders. Let's see what we got here. So yeah. Basically, that was about reoccurring reminders that you get through AI. So not a lot going on with the new features in the messaging app, but I mean, that's good. I mean, you can do reminders inside the app, which is also always good. What else we got here? We have Samsung Galaxy Unpacked event. So the 22nd was Samsung, or the 22nd was the Samsung Galaxy Unpacked event. I think I might have been just talking about it then. Since this Monday show was on the 20th. So we're just kind of talking about what to expect and if we cared at all, essentially what we're doing. Doom plays inside of a Word document. Let's take a look at that. Doom inside a Word document. We talked about Doom running inside of a Word document. And I didn't think that was a thing that was worthy of talking about. It's not about whether it'll work. It's about whether it'll work well, right? Can Doom play in a Word document? Yes, it can. So that was simply about whether Doom would work well, not whether Doom would work. Oh, boy. Why is it still on? Oh, boy. I got to fix this thing. It needs to be fixed. I'm not sure what happened to it. Oh, let's figure it out. Okay. Oh, that didn't work. Bam. I'm not sure why it's not switching, but it is definitely not switching. But anyway, this is, and it's and it's still not working. Oh boy. Well, we won't be looking at the small picture here. Maybe we'll have to look. Will we have to look at the small picture? That sucks. We'll talk about it. Okay, so essentially, Doom running in a Word app. I don't know if you guys know the reason why we didn't have a Friday show is because my dock died on me overnight. It wasn't even powered or anything. It was just something just happened to it, or just spontaneously combusted or something. I don't know. But I woke up to a dead dock, which none of my cameras could run and mics could run because it didn't have anything to be plugged into. I bought a new one. As you can see, I'm having struggles with it. I still got some learning to do with this new dock. I made sacrifices with this new dock, to say the least. So I may have to bite the bullet and just say, you know what? That dock that was given to me graciously by eInk was awesome. And docks like that usually cost a ton of money, and I just wasn't willing to do that at the time. But I may have to. Anyway, Doom running inside of a Word document was what we talked about on Monday as well. We talked about Voya Scientific Method. The thing with that is we talked about a couple things with that. And one of the things we talked about was instruments. And that's one of the things I kind of went down the road of doing, was trying to figure out what instruments I would need to kind of acquire the data that we're making assumptions about when we talk about eInk, or maybe not making assumptions, but that we're being subjective or making statements that were very subjective. There we go. About what these devices are capable of doing when we talk about e-ink tablets, more specifically the note-taking e-ink tablets. And I think this would apply to any e-ink display, honestly. When we talk about roughness, when we talk about display clarity, when we talk about contrast, when we talk about display brightness, all of these things I'll be able to test. And not only test, the thing is to me is not really the testing, because that's not the important part of this. The important part for me is matter of fact, can I bring this up? I probably can't. It's probably not going to switch. Oh, it did, but it's still small. I guess it's better than nothing. We'll see what we can do about making this bigger here. Oh, that doesn't make it bigger. That didn't make it bigger either. Oh boy. Okay, we'll just leave it there. All right, so what we were talking about is basically brightness testers or color testers, essentially. And what I ended up grabbing was this device here. What is it called? It's a surface roughness tester. And this is the device I got right here. Can we look at the image? Can we just do images? There we go. Okay. And it won't make it bigger. Oh, that sucks. All right, there we go. So this is the device I essentially got right here, which is going to test the roughness of surfaces, just to tell me what the device, and I'm going to calibrate this device on live. So I'm going to show that the device knows what the surface of something that we already know the roughness of. So it comes with a plate that has the actual roughness of that plate on it. I'll just do a sample test run of the actual device to make sure that it can mimic and display that particular roughness, just to show the device is calibrated, that it actually works. And then I will have a demonstration of actually testing actual paper. And we'll just look at some paper as far as what the roughness of that is, as far as what the internet thinks it is, or what the known value is. I mean, there's different roughnesses of paper, right? But we'll try to nail it down to maybe an average or something like that. Good evening, Greg, aka Gregory. How's it going? So we'll try to do that Monday. So like I said, I'll do a calibration test Monday. I'm going to be putting a video together of all this too, just so it can live on my channel. And if anyone is concerned about how I'm taking data and data points, they can go to that video and say, okay, I see now how he's taking the measurements. Either I like that or I don't like that, or whatever the case may be, and people can comment or whatever. But this is one of the devices I'm going to be using to get the information here, and I received that Thursday, I think. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it in the Zoni. Definitely. So we're gonna get some information from that. So Monday will be a super interesting live, just to get the test for this and to see how well this does what it does. Greg got the Manta. Well, that's what's up, man. I appreciate you letting me know. Let me know how you like it, what you think about it. This is your first Supernote, right, Greg? Actually, this might be your first e-ink device, no, Greg? Let me know. Actually, no, this isn't Greg's first e-ink device. I don't know why I thought that was at first, but let me know how you like it, Greg. So so that's going to be the thing we do right there. And the Manta is going to be one of the screens I test for roughness to see how it compares to actual paper. And that's kind of all we can do with this particular device. It's essentially just going to tell us what we can, how closely this surface mimics paper. And that's kind of where I want to fall with this. And it can tell us how much rougher something is than the other thing. In a unified kind of universal way, and information and data that anyone can look at, right? And trust, because it's coming from a device that's designed to get this kind of information. And also it delivers the information in a format and in a spec that, like I said, is universally accepted throughout the display industries, throughout all industries, really. And like I said, globally, because we're dealing with metric standards here. How's it going, Greg? Good to see you. I mean, not Greg, but Kurt. So yeah, that's one of the things right there. So let's move on to the next thing I picked up, which is going to be this device here. And like I said, I'm going to show these devices. I don't have this device currently. I thought I broke that device too when I first got it. I literally thought I broke it. So let's go to the next one we got here. I, it's been a while since I've dealt with like sensitive instruments. I haven't worked in a lab in a while, so I just don't know how to act anymore. But this surface tester taught me very quickly. Either get it together, bruh, or you won't be having a surface tester. But then when I got accurate readings, I was like, oh, I didn't kill it. Oh, thank goodness. It's okay. But yeah, sensitive instruments need to be handled sensitively, and I'm not a very sensitive person. But yeah, so here we go. What do we get here? It is the color. Oh, it's the photometer. So which one did I get here? Can we get images? All right, so I got a spectrophotometer, which is different from what a lot of people use now to get light from devices and from surfaces, which would be a colorimeter, which is a little bit different. I don't see the actual one I have. Yes, I don't. Okay. All right. So the closest one that I see, maybe if I click on this one, it'll give me one that's like mine. The closest one I see is this one right here. This isn't the one I have, but this is the closest representation of it that I see here. This will do. All right. So this is the kind of material or the instrument I have right here to test color. And what's different from a spectrophotometer and a colorimeter, which is what some people use to test the brightness, is that the colorimeters only test the colors. They test the colors that come off of something, and they separate those colors into its constituent, that not colors, but the brightness of light. And then they separate the light into its constituent parts, and then measure that and tell you what that is, right? This right here will measure the actual surface of a surface, the reflection of photons being shined off of it. This is what this machine tests. So you don't need a special environment for this machine right here. It can essentially just kind of sit. So it'll just basically, if we can imagine this being the machine, I don't have it yet, but if we can imagine this being the machine here, it'll just kind of sit on the surface of whatever I'm testing. And what that'll do is create an environment that it needs. So it creates its own environment, because underneath there is a little cavity where it's going to kind of shine the light. And that, like I said, that cavity creates its own environment. And that's how it tests the reflectivity or the surface brightness of something without it needing even light. So we don't need a light source for this. Like I said, it creates its own environment to do that testing. And this particular machine doesn't just test the colors. It doesn't break the light up into its constituent parts. It's dealing with a particular spectrum of color, and it can tell just by what light is reflected off of that surface and how much it gets reflected back to the sensor, how bright that surface is. And so that's how it does what it does. So I don't have that machine yet, so I can't test that. But what that's going to tell us is that it's going to give us data about brightness. Now, I'm not really concerned about the numbers of these things. What I am concerned about is how we as a community come together and say, okay, well, now that we have numbers that are just universally accepted throughout multiple industries and multiple countries, because it's dealing with the universal standard, we can now say that's something we don't have to think about. Then we could put energy towards saying, what does that mean to us? And then we can start putting numbers to terms that we talk about in the industry, like surface brightness, the contrast, the difference between what the screen looks like after it's been used for a while and when you initially refresh it. Those kind of things. Then we can put numbers to those things and start talking about, and then start putting terms to those numbers that make sense and that we can talk about and all have an understanding of what exactly that means. But the only way that happens is if we have good data. So once we have the good data, the conversations are going to have to be had about how we talk about it. And when I say conversations are going to be had, that's going to, I wouldn't be the person. I haven't been in that long to like dictate how you use the numbers, because I'm still learning things, myself. I think that would be a conversation for people who've been in this for a while and who are like, okay, well, I know that this is what we're looking for. If we put this number, because this number is the brightness of the screen after you've worked on it, and this number is the brightness of the screen before you've done any work on it, like right after a refresh, what's that difference? Now let's put a term to that difference, right? Or if we need to do other calculations with those numbers, now what term do we put to that? Those are the kind of things that I think are going to be interesting. That's the more interesting part of this to me, not the data, but you have to have the data first before you can talk about things in that way. I can't make the image larger. I'm dealing with a new dock right now, and when I was doing the testing for the live, that wasn't a thing. That happened right when I went to go live, and I'm like, okay, I don't know how to fix that. So what I'm going to do is work on that tonight and work on it tomorrow, and by Monday's live, we'll have all of these things kind of figured out. Because right now I want to show images, but it's just not showing up right, and it's not even switching correctly for me. So for that, I apologize, you all. This will be a mostly verbal live, and I know that's probably not the best way to do a live. You want visuals, and I'd rather give you that. But like I said, with this new dock I'm using, I'm still learning things, and it doesn't work the way my old one did. And yeah, so my apologies for the state of the live for this evening. So, but like I said, we'll get that corrected come Monday. What else do we have here? Let's see what else we had here. The English Quaderno, the new one, the color Quaderno 3. We talked about that as well. Can we show an image of that? I liked it. I really did like how the actual device looked. So I'm not even sure.
Now, we are excited. Don't get us wrong.
I wish I could. I don't know how this got.
They're a little bit late to the game when it comes to color in general. Are they late to the game when it comes to color in 13.3? No, not at all, because Readmoo is the only company that occupies that. But that's a Taiwanese.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that's reacting that way. But like I said, we'll get that straightened out. This is. I think this is the Quaderno.
One of the biggest brands, not only in the.
So this is one of the things we talked about as well on Monday. I just like the way it looked. Like I said, I think I mentioned this Monday that it looked a lot like Ratta designed this particular device. It looks like something they would do, especially with the curved ports or the curved plastic around the ports, the way they did that. Seemed to be very Manta-ish in my opinion. But I did like that device, and it was really, really cool to me.
But I must say,
all right, let's go ahead and go to Tuesday's show. Let's see what we got here.
Look how close everything looks to the surface.
All right, for Tuesday's show.
That is
TikTok. We talked about TikTok again. I think I talked about TikTok on the top of every show.
This is
for Tuesday for this last week, because that obviously was the first week for the ban, and so that's something I wanted to really get out there and talk about. So that was the reason for TikTok being such a huge thing throughout the week. I did talk about TikTok a few minutes ago. In the chat, it says a dude giving a goodie reader screen time. Boo. They're the only ones who did a video on that. So I was like, yeah. So yeah. So that was a thing. So TikTok, obviously, we talked about that at the top of this show. But just to reiterate, it's not going down until a long time. Even after the 75 days goes away, you'll probably still be able to use your TikTok app, no matter what happens after that. It's just really a ban on distributing the app. So you won't be able to update it anymore, and you can't get the app from the app stores. I did corrections from the previous day. I made some mistakes about what some of the instruments that I talked about, because I talked about a couple more instruments in that live on Monday that I didn't mention just now. But I made corrections because I did make some mistakes. I ain't perfect, but I am someone who is okay with admitting when I'm wrong. So, Dr. Ling, what's going on? We didn't get the air horns coming from a couple of people. So air horns for the chat and the crew who are joining us after I got the initial air horns going. So I appreciate y'all for joining me. Thank you. Yeah. So that was a thing there. Can we get back to that? Oh boy. All right, there we go. So that was a thing. I'm always willing to admit if I'm wrong about something, and I like when people correct me about stuff if I'm wrong, because I mean, I don't want to be wrong. I'd rather be right, even if at the cost of me being wrong initially. Like ultimately the goal is to be right. So please correct me if I'm wrong about something, and I might defend myself even if I'm wrong, but I'm always receptive to right. So just so you guys know. He said, we're here for the radio voice and commentary. No doubt. Okay, so I hope this is okay, at least for tonight, you guys. I appreciate you rocking with me. Lots of things going on, but the doc is the center of it all. So as soon as I get that situated, we'll be back rocking and rolling like normal. So yeah, that was the show for Tuesday. I talked more about the tools of the trade too. So I talked about the spectrophotometer. There we go. I talked more about the spectrophotometer that day because that was when I realized that's the machine we absolutely need for surface brightness. We talked about what does it matter, right? And do people on YouTube care, right? And my stance on that is no, it doesn't matter right now. But like most things that you don't have information on, when you get that information, you're always like, how did I live without that information? And I think that this will be the same kind of situation. All right. The quadernal color. Actually, we did that Tuesday. I was supposed to do that Monday, but we think we did it Tuesday because I went so long on the tools of the trade thing that, that kind of was a thing. All right, let's check into Wednesday's show. Wednesday was the Samsung event. So that was a pretty lackluster show. I'm not sure how you guys felt about that. I did the live during that Samsung event, so basically that was the live. I remember throughout that whole live thinking to myself, why aren't they talking about the actual device? Like the first 30 minutes of that presentation was all AI and software. Like I knew nothing about the camera the first half hour. I knew nothing about the dimensions of the screen the first half hour. They might have mentioned how much RAM was in there for some reason or another, but that's it. So it was very odd to get details of the phone after everything else had been talked about. Like, I don't even know what that was about. That was the weirdest thing. And there was boring parts in it to where I felt like I had to talk. Like I felt like I have to interrupt now because it's so boring and so stale right now. No one's going to watch the live if I don't entertain people, because the show wasn't very entertaining in a lot of parts. It wasn't a normal glitzy unpacked from Samsung. Nazoni says, what's happening with the 3D printing project? You talk about that this week. No, I didn't talk about the 3D printing projects, but I only have two. 3D printing projects. So one of my 3D printing projects is the rat feet. So that's something that I've done all the work I can do on. Now it's just about me getting the 3D print right. But the problem with me getting the 3D print right is the material. I don't think the 3D printer I have can print the material that I need and want for the rat feet to be like I want them to be. Size, it's perfect for that size. I've printed the size up. I've printed prototypes of sizes already. But the material that I want, I don't think this can do. I need an enclosed kind of structure because of the heat that's involved. And the second thing, I can't mention right now what that second thing is. It's super top secret. But I'm working with some other manufacturers on, I say other manufacturers like I'm a manufacturer. I'm working with some manufacturers on this second thing. Couple moving parts in it. My thing is, I can't 3D print what I wanted to 3D print with this 3D printer because it's too small. So I may have to get me a resin printer, and me and eInk talks about this. We talk about this pretty frequently in the Discord. Because I think and I just bought a smaller nozzle for this 3D printer too. Because I think I mentioned to eInk that I was getting a smaller nozzle because the bigger nozzle wasn't able to print things to the scale that I wanted. So I just bought a smaller nozzle in hopes that will be able to print at the scale I want. But I'm not hopeful. This is just a last ditch effort because I really don't think it's going to work. But I feel like I owe it to myself to try every option, right? So the only other option was a smaller nozzle. And if that works, perfect. If it doesn't, and I don't think that it will, only thing I lost is a little bit of time. But that's where I'm at on the 3D print projects. And also, but what I am going to do, because I'm going to keep the 3D printer. Like, I think it's a cool toy to have, even if I'm not going to be able to use it to manufacture the things that I want, or at least manufacture the prototypes that I want, because I haven't even got that far with it. And 3D modeling is another thing. I'm really having, obviously you have to learn 3D modeling. I considered modeling or making one myself, buying a 3D modeling camera and just have the camera 3D model some things that I've made by hand just to get them into the program so I don't have to create them myself, because that's the learning curve. Learning how to create these things in a 3D modeling program and then make it. That's the struggle. And materials and size. There's a lot of things. Everything is more complicated than what it seems when I'm starting out, it seems. But the good part about it is I'm learning from it and I'm still pushing forward with it. And the more I learn, the more time it takes, it seems. But also the more I learn, the more ideas come and the more possibilities open up, it seems like. No, Greg, you're not sorry for threatening to mute me. Greg threatened to mute me the whole time because I was like, I gotta say something. I gotta say something. Greg was like, I'm gonna mute you if you don't be quiet. I mean, right now. I'm like, sorry, Greg. My bad. I'll be quiet. Catting is no joke, says eInk. No, it is not. It is not. It is hard. And learning it is a learning. It's steep. It's a steep learning curve to it. But I've been able to create rudimentary shapes, and that's all I'm trying to do right now is just get rudimentary shapes made, and then worry about the finer details later. Because if I can't even get the rudimentary shapes done, there's no chance of me getting the finer details done. All right, so what are we at on that? BM says next year they will introduce Dex as a new thing. Dex needs to be a full-blown thing. We talked about this during the stream, BM, and what me and BM was talking about during the stream is if it would be awesome because Dex is basically a desktop application for mobile devices like phones and tablets. And Samsung's proprietary desktop software. But it works really well. It works really well. And if you could just make that be your computer that you keep in your pocket, and you just like carry that around and just plug it into your monitor or your dock actually when you get home, and it could be your computer. You could plug a monitor into it, keyboard, mouse, and just continue what you were doing on the go. I love that idea. I bought the smallest Mac I could back in 2016, 2017, might have been 2015. They came out with a small 10-inch MacBook Air. And this thing was amazing. It was the only laptop they had shipped up until that point, with a discrete graphics card that wasn't the MacBook Pro. So every MacBook they had made up until that point that wasn't a Pro did not have a discrete graphics card in it. So that was a 10-inch laptop with a discrete graphics card from Apple. I was like, I'm all over that, bro. I'm jumping all over that. I love that thing. That thing was the bee's knees. 10 inches? That thing was like this. I mean, slightly bigger, but you get the point. A whole MacBook. Oh man, that thing was great. Dr. Ling says, did you get a chance to check out Unnecessary Inventions? Yes, I did. We'll talk about that Monday because that's on my list of things to talk about Monday too. Which I think is very interesting. Very interesting. All I do CAD every day at work, but only 2D. Yeah, see, that's what was my experience with CAD is 2D CAD because I was doing architectural and mechanical drafting, but they were at this time they were just breaking into using CAD for those things. And I had to choose a discipline. I ridiculously chose architectural at the time. If I had known who I really was, if I had known myself, I would have chosen mechanical. That's why it's so important to know yourself. Know yourself, everybody, and be true to it. Because I'm telling you, once you know yourself and you decide to be true to yourself, oh, good things happen. Good things happen. So, yeah. Anyway, that was the route I chose. Was a 2D CAD. But if I had gotten into the mechanical drafting, that would have led me to the 3D CAD. Oh, and I would have been A-OK right now. I'd have been A-OK right now. But yeah. So what else did we get into? Yeah, that was a Samsung event. Lackluster event in my opinion. They talked about they didn't talk about Muhan at all. The headset. They didn't talk about the glasses. They talked about the software that supports those things, but very little information about the phones too. Till the very end. I had to literally go to Tom's for the following show. We'll get into that. Let's go ahead and do that now. For the following show, I had to go to Tom's hardware to find out what was going on with the hardware and the specs because they didn't even have that on their site seemingly in an easy way to read. It was crazy. I hear that Samsung got exec problems. I hope that doesn't affect what they do next year. I'm looking forward to next year's phone. This phone was just whatever. It was all about AI and not even new AI. It was about AI that everyone else has already, except Apple. They got nothing but Siri, and we all know how that goes. So, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It just didn't make any sense to me. But anyway, moving on to Thursday. Thursday, like I said, I had to go get information on the phones because there was none in their presentation and hardly any on the site. So we went and got information about that. We talked about new Gemini features. That was the reoccurring. That was the reoccurring message or reoccurring reminders right there. The new Gemini features. That was one of them. The reoccurring things. What was the messages feature? We're going to look at that again. I'm going to figure that out. Google in the classroom we talked about, which I thought was one of the most interesting stories of the week. Notebook LM being used in the classroom was such a mind-blowing thought for me. I never considered that before. I use it to learn myself. It should have just been natural for people to take that to the classroom. But yeah, Google is dominating in the classroom, something I didn't know until I dug more into this story. But Google is dominating in the classroom. And when we talked about this on Thursday, a lot of people in the chat were like, yes, I work in the school system in some capacity, and that is all I see. And that's all I've been seeing for the past few years. So that was super interesting to me. So I'm glad that, it's gotten to the point to where you don't have to pay for these things. All of this software that we're talking about, super free. Chromecast, super cheap. So, yeah, it's a win-win for everybody. I'm sure Apple's services would not have been cheap at all for the school system. So anyway, we talked about that. Netflix raising prices. So we talked about Netflix raising prices. It didn't bother me that they raised prices. What bothers me is that they raise prices so frequently. So if you want to see what we had to say about that, check out Thursday's show. But it is crazy. On average, about $2 per plan for Netflix viewing. I think 6 months ago they raised the prices before this. So it's when does it stop? Get Netflix on a cell phone plan. That's how I have it. So I don't worry about this so much, but man, it still sucks. OpenAI creates Stargate. I thought this was interesting because they named it Stargate. I'm a Stargate fan. Super nerdy Stargate fan. But yeah, I'm a Stargate fan to say the least. So when I saw this, I was like, I got to read this. And I read it and was like, oh, it's about data centers. So Meta's they're forming an alliance with I think it's SoftBank and Oracle SoftBank. and they're calling it Stargate. And basically, what that is they're just contracting with each other to build OpenAI more data centers. This doesn't have anything to do with with Microsoft's. With OpenAI's dealings with Microsoft at all. They're still in dealing with Microsoft. Microsoft is still building data centers for OpenAI. They just need more. So they're just contracting more people to do it because they've done what they can do, or Microsoft has done what they said they're going to do contractually for OpenAI, but they need more. They always need more. So they've partnered. They got Stargate. Meta Oakley glasses. I thought that was super interesting. I just took down that thumbnail too. But we'll talk about it. So these are the Meta Ray-Bans, and Meta is going to come out with a pair like this with the cameras, speakers, and microphones, and AI, in a pair of Oakleys, some wraparound Oakleys. And I was like, I don't like the way that looks. And then someone in the chat was like, bro, that's superior sun protection, bro. You don't even know. You don't even know. I was like, yeah, you're right. I don't know. It's awesome. I didn't even think about that. So yeah, I'd wear, like I see one wheelers wearing them all the time, and I'm like, oh, that looks. You know what I'm talking about. You know. But I've been told that yeah, they may be, but they're super helpful, and I'm like, okay, well then they're not that thing. They're helpful now, and now I can appreciate them and stop calling them. And we can move on. The next thing we have on here is the roughest tester arriving today. So I talked about the roughest tester that was arriving. I think I may have gotten that right when I said I got it Thursday. I did. It was Thursday. Boox devices using OneNote. Works pretty well. Now, I say that because me and my main man, Jay, from the membership, from the chat, from the Discord, Jay's the man. When Jay told me about a bit of software called Boox Quick Draw, and what that does is optimize handwriting and third-party writing and drawing apps. So I'm like, wow. I pulled up OneNote, and I'm like, oh, OneNote works well. Doesn't need any help. Opened up Google Keep. Oh, we got problems. So Quick Draw definitely good in Google Keep, and I would imagine it's good in any app that doesn't have optimization. Which I did choose the optimization for Boox in that app, and it was chosen for the Keep app, but it didn't matter. It didn't work at all. So some apps you can draw and write in third party, and some you can't. And in that case, the Boox Quick Draw is going to be what you might want to use. Now, I think I'm going to add that. I tried to add into my eInk videos, but I just got done wrapping those up, so I may have to do that as a standalone thing. But it's a super interesting app, and especially if you are using a Boox product, because you can download almost any third-party app, and get a genuinely decent writing experience if it doesn't natively have that. So that's the benefit of getting that app there. All right, and I think that was it. That was it for the week. That was super short. Not a lot going on. Like I said, I wish I could show more stuff. I know I'm not very entertaining by it myself, but I can orchestrate and make it an entertaining show. So thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you. Do we have any eInk conversation that you guys want to have? We got like 20 more minutes before the hour's done. If you guys want to talk about some eInk specific stuff, throw your questions in the chat. I'll be happy to answer some, or talk about some, or bring up whatever conversation you guys want to have. We can do it. Sheen says, really wish we could do templates and keep with rapid draw. Yeah. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Jay was talking about this kind of setup right here, where you could use Boox tools in any third-party app, the notes tools. Very interesting idea. Dr. Lean says the Manta coming in. Did you just order one? Greg just got his. Manta. He's gonna update us on how he feels about it. He's not sure yet. He's still on the fence about it. He's definitely still on the fence about it. You know what though? We can talk about next week's shows though. How about that? We can spill the beans on next week's shows. kind of give you guys a heads up as to what's coming. Let's hit the chat real quick. How is Note 10 going to stop ghosting before I purchase? It's not. The Note Max, you mean? Oh, delivery on Wednesday? Awesome. Congrats. You're going to love it. It's a great device. Have you had a Supernote before, Dr. Ling? And as far as the ghosting goes, I'm really starting to think that that's a backplane issue. For sure. Yep, it's on GitHub. Yeah. I have a link. Greg, I'll throw the link in the Discord. BM, ghosting really isn't that bad. Yeah, you can always refresh. Oh, first Supernote. Suggestion. Use it like you would paper for the first couple of days. And slowly work your way into the features. And do not neglect the indexing features, like how to index your own notes, how to index folders, how to index, how to use the headers and the stars. All of that's really, to me, indexing. I have a really good indexing video, so check that out if you want some pointers on that. Greg says, same here, Dr. Ling. Organized for Change says, I'm going to have to head out, everyone. It was great to see that cream and crimson represented. No doubt, Ed. I appreciate you joining us, man. Have a good night. It's the last on the list after Scribe, Note Air 3C. Oh, okay. The Go 10.3 and Remarkable Paper Pro. Oh, so you have all of those. Definitely a different experience. Yeah, definitely a different experience for sure. All right, let's talk about what we got for next week's show. We'll spend some time doing that real quick. All right, so for next week's show, we have I don't know if this is going to be Monday and Tuesday stuff, but these are all things that will be next week. We're going to talk about the Google acquisition of HTC. I don't know if you guys know, but Google acquired HTC. But little history though. HTC is the the company who first started making the Google phones, the Pixels. So the first Pixel came from HTC. I want to say they even worked on some Google stuff before that too. So they acquired some people from HTC back in the day, and they're doing a little more acquisition of HTC right now, a full acquisition of HTC right now. But we'll talk more about that and what that actually means. What happens when you add a page between Supernote headers? Don't go try it. We'll talk about that Monday. Rough and accessory calibration. That's definitely something we're going to do Monday. We're going to do a live calibration test and test it against paper to see how accurate this thing actually is. Does it actually tell you what the roughness is compared to what paper would be? So yeah, we're going to do that. Boox outline feature. Is it worth the time it takes? Is it worth the time it takes to make an outline on the Boox format? I don't know. We'll talk about that. Firmware version 4.0. What are we waiting for again? I don't know. What are we waiting for? Like, what's the holdup? What's the problem? What's the problem here? What are we doing? Why isn't the Notes app fixed? Why is it not optimized? These are things I want to know. We're going to talk about it. Why not just make an eInk computer? Have we thought about that? Why not just, with putting eInk tablets with keyboards, why not just make an eInk laptop? You know what I mean? Or at the very least, an eInk something like this that just the keyboard is kind of like built in, but you can, you know what I'm saying? And maybe you can take it apart. Okay, I'm sorry. We have those already. My bad. We have those already. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna talk about all these things and a whole lot more next week. All those things and a whole lot more. And we got at least 2 videos coming out next week that we'll be able to talk about throughout the week as well. One of those will be an eInk video. I don't know what the other one will be. I got 2 more, but I'm only going to release two for next week, and we shall see what they're going to be. But yeah, why not have an eInk computer? I definitely think that's an interesting conversation to have. I mean, at the very least, why aren't people doing it? That's what the $6,000 Big Me screen is for. Yeah, but see, the thing is, I think that they're not making them with the expressed intention of having both things working together from the start. You know, that's what I think we're missing. Like something that is designed to be a keyboard and mouse situation. Like it doesn't even have to be a writable surface. It could just be something you have for a keyboard and mouse. You know what I mean? Like I think that's because then you can optimize, right? Then you're like, okay, we're optimizing for this kind of setup. You don't have to worry about whether the mouse is going to be or the trackpad is going to be responsive or not. You don't have to worry about whether these things are going to move like they typically do or not. They just will, because it'll be a total laptop experience with an eInk screen. One of these companies could do that. Onyx could totally do it. I mean, with what they're doing right now with Android, they could totally do it. eInk is too tactile. I'd almost do it for the express reason of being able to not use my LCD for certain things that I don't need it for. Like I think I talked about my Excel spreadsheet use. Spreadsheets in space. If you know what that means, you know. But it's just like, I mean, that's not the only reason I use spreadsheets, but that's a huge one. It's just like I don't need color for that. I don't need fancy bright lights for that. That's just me literally just inputting data. You know? Data input is awesome. Like eInk is awesome for that. Like not would. It is awesome for that. I think. Maybe. But yeah, so that would be awesome. We'll talk more about that next week too. We'll talk more about that. I'll have some scenarios that we can punch you through. So some scenarios that we can talk about, and it'll be great. It'll be great. eInk and Windows though? Not Windows per se. It wouldn't have to be Windows. It would just have to be a desktop. Take Dex. You know what I mean? Take like something like Dex. Like something like Dex could be eInk, because it's so small it works on a cell phone. I think you could turn Dex into an eInk experience, and Dex works really well. An eInk Chromebook will be redonkulous. Oh, also, you know what we're going to talk about next week? I'm going to put this on here now. We're going to talk next week about what device, because I've already wrote up my draft of proposals I'm going to send out to like the 3 major companies. But who should I focus on to give this? Because we're giving a kid an eInk device in the Philadelphia high school system. Like some kid in Philadelphia is going to get an eInk device to use for half. Maybe we'll do a quarter or half of a school year. I haven't nailed down the specifics of it, but this is happening. And we're gonna find us a company that wants to donate for this project. But who? What? I don't want it to be a Boox product just because it does too much. I mean, I don't want it to be a distracting kind of thing. And here I am talking about distraction, and I hate when people say that. Oh, it's distraction free, bro. It's distraction free. Well, who cares? Just turn the notifications off. So I don't know. I don't know. But I do know that I'm thinking right off the top, it's got to be either a Remarkable product or a Supernote product. And I just say that because, like I said, I think the Boox is what you would get if, you know what, it would be kind of cool. I'm no lie to like give one of the kids the Boox product too because of all it can do. I don't know, it's a toss up. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna throw up a live poll next week. Oh boy. Yeah, we're gonna throw up a live poll next week to see we're gonna throw up a live poll next week to see what we all think about what device it should be. And whatever we come up with for that live poll is who I'll contact first and foremost, until we have a reason not to and go beyond it. Oh, Danielle, okay, man. What's going on, Danielle? Appreciate you. All right, let's get the horns going. Danielle made it. You made it, Danielle. You made it. But yeah, so I think that would be very interesting to kind of see what everyone thinks during the day show about what device would be best for a high school kid if we want to see what that would be like. Like if we really wanted to see what it would be like for someone in school to use an eInk device who's never used one before, the pros, the cons, you know, super exciting. Super exciting. What else we got? Oh, well, we got 5 minutes. Any other eInk stuff you guys want to talk about before the 5 minutes here? I'm excited for next week. Monday can't get here fast enough. Actually, tomorrow can't get here fast enough. I got tests to do tomorrow. All says kids pick up stuff quickly. Give one a Boox, and after a few months, they can come on here and teach me how to use it. No doubt. You know what would be? You know what will be interesting that I just thought about. Maybe this will be the poll. How cool would it be to have all three devices, a Remarkable, a Supernote, and a Boox product, 3 different kids, 3 different devices, get their feedback after it's done. Pros, the cons, what they didn't like, what they liked, how easy it was to use. I mean, it certainly wouldn't be perfect because, I mean, it wouldn't be like giving the one kid 3 devices and saying, hey, use this, whatever the case. But if we found 3 students that were really good students, good study habits and all of that, who are doing good, who a switch wouldn't necessarily hurt their ability to get work done, I think we can get some valuable information from that. So maybe I'll do that. I mean, that sounds a little bit more interesting, actually. Contact all 3 of them and say, hey, you know, I want to do this project. Are you willing to donate a device to a kid in Philadelphia for the express reason of me making a video about their experiences with the device, using the device, how helpful it was, if it wasn't helpful at all. Talk to the teachers. You know what I mean? Talk to the teachers and say, hey, how easy was it to get these students who had eInk devices their work? How easy was it to get their work to you? Did you see any differences and changes in how their work was being done? Did their grades change at all during this period? You know what I mean? Things like that would be super interesting to know and document and just do a little mini series on. Do a little eInk mini series. I mean, it's happening. How I deliver it is the question, but this is happening. We're doing this. All right. That is it. That's going to be it. Let's get the outro music going. Let's get the outro. Oh, that's the wrong one. That is the wrong one. That's the right one. Greg says, if you gave a kid a Boox device, I feel like they would have to be a previous Android user. Yeah. But you know what? These kids are so good. Who said that? Who said that? I think all said that, you know, kids pick up stuff really quickly. So I think that'll be the case for these devices too. And I think most people are pretty familiar with Android to some degree. These high school kids, all these high school kids got iPhones though, so you never know. You never know. We're gonna find out though. We're gonna find out, Greg, aka Gregory. What are the units? That'd be an interesting experiment. What are the units? Oh, we're gonna try all 3, Dr. Ling. We're gonna try all 3 units from the big 3 makers: Remarkable, Boox, and Supernote. But I don't know what actual devices yet. We're going to talk about that. We're going to have that conversation next week. What we think would be the best device to give them from those brands. But all brands are I'm going to approach all brands to see if they want to donate to the project. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me for this end of the week wrap up. I appreciate that. Did I miss any chatters up here? Oh, I did. I missed the Daylight chat. Daylight DC1 tablet. Well, the thing with the Daylight, we'll talk about that. I'm going to put that on my list. Daylight, the DL1. We'll talk about that. That's going to be on next week's show too. We'll talk about that when we talk about eInk as a computer, because that's a different beast right there. That's a different beast. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate everyone coming to the chat this evening and participating in the chat and coming in and hanging out with me this Saturday evening. I know sometimes it can be crazy, and today was. But we're going to get this doc figured out, and we're going to figured out why this screen isn't working like it should. I know it has something to do with this doc. I'm 100% positive of it. Dr. Zine said, I meant the units of value calling back to Voyage tests. Oh, I don't know what those units were, but we're going to test ours in, I forgot the name of the units. We'll talk about that Monday too. We have universal units that we can talk about this stuff in, and that's going to be one of the benefits of this show for next week too. All right. So like I said, everyone, thanks for joining me. Have a great evening. Have a good rest of your weekend. And like I said, I'll see you guys next week. It's going to be a really good week for news and eInk. We got a lot of good discussion to have, a lot of good information and data to put out there too. So definitely join me for next week. If you're not subscribed, subscribe today, just so you don't miss that live and you get notified when the lives come on. If you are subscribed, go ahead and like for me. Just go ahead and throw that like up there, you guys. Everybody in the chat right now, how many people we got in the chat? We got 11 people in the chat right now. I need at least 11 likes. Right now, I only got 4. I lied. I got 5. I need at least 11. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Have a great evening, and I will see you all Monday. Take care. it.